I once met a little girl, let's call her Yogi. She was full of life, happy, laughing. She loved nature. She even had invisible friends and she named them. And some of them were trees and some of them were roses. She would love exploring. She was the sunshine in a room. She loved her mom a little too much. She used to hate going to school in kindergarten and grade one to an extent where she would create a huge ruckus tantrum where half the colony would know Yogi is going to school. Later, she probably got adapted to the school life. In her grade 2 and grade 3, she started loving academics. She used to get distinctions. She used to love singing. She used to love being in drama. She was part of every school's annual days. I think it's okay to call her multi-potentialite. She entered grade 6 and her grades started dropping. There were problems with her behavior. Teachers would call her parents. Teachers would humiliate her. There was a time in grade 7, her answer sheet was read by the teacher in front of the whole class. Everyone laughed at her. Her parents were perplexed what was really going on. What actually happens when her child who brings A stars and A's suddenly starts declining in their academics with B, C's, and much lower? This conversation is not just about Yogi. It's conversation about every child who enters adolescence and middle school and something shifts in them. What is wrong with my child? Why are their grades declining? This is a question I get at all times from parents. Namaste and welcome to the Safe Space with Binny, where we are talking about what really goes behind the psyche of a child whose grades have started declining. But we are also going to learn how to move past the grades and revive that child's motivation. At this point, I need 30 seconds of your time. Our podcast matters because you're listening as families and parents and children. Can you please follow us, share us, and like us so that we don't know which parent would be impacted with this conversation? By doing this, you're just making a difference in that child's life who's probably Yogi and still suffering with it. So let's dive in. Binny, is my child lazy? I get this question all the time. No, nobody's lazy. But parents understand sometimes we see a child's behavior and we have no clue what's going on. And it really creates a ripple of distress in us, which makes us feel that they are lazy. Every child is filled with innate potential and capabilities to excel in whatever they set their mind to. So, have we wondered what exactly happens the moment they enter adolescence and middle high school? Up until the age of 8 and 9, life is fairly simple. They are enjoying life, they are your little kid. Comes age 10 to 12, where they hit puberty. Parents, we are going to now look at the multifactorial reasons why a child who is entering adolescence goes through decreased motivation, probably for everything and anything. Let's look at what's happening biologically. Your child is growing, there's a growth spurt, they are hitting puberty, hormonal changes is happening. We really see them changing shape and changing the way how they look. They'll probably look more in the mirror. They won't like what they see. They'll have a phase of acne and they're going to hate themselves. They're really going through identity crisis. There's also the neurological aspect where their thinking brain is not completely developed and their emotional brain is completely developed. So you'll see the seesaw of having exaggerated emotions about every little experience. These two factors play a huge role in them psychologically, emotionally, and socially. Everything they feel and their behave is linked to the identity crisis stage and to the neurological aspect. Parents, it's one of the most difficult times for children because now they are exploring friendships. They go through toxic friendships, they go through isolation, they feel nobody likes them, they sometimes feel really lonely. Peer pressure, friendship struggles are so real between the age of 10 and 14. Each of these impact their sense of self worth, which decreases their motivation. And then there is academic stress. When they move from grade 6 to 7 and 8, you notice that the coursework has increased. Some of the children are unable to manage that level of pressure. They're not used to having life where there is so much to do and they are overscheduled and they still have to choose between sports and academics. They are still going through feeling isolated and not good enough. Teachers and parents constantly put the pressure of performance on them, and so do we parents. I believe that in my experience, I have seen every child is hungry to work hard and excel, but they see the judgment and shame from their attachment figures, from their mothers, fathers, teachers, mentors, coaches, which helps them, not helps, actually, it works negatively on their mindset to not even try anymore. As we are exploring these external factors, the most important factor is the home environment. Home environment is their safe space. It's a place where your child feels happy, nourished emotionally, physically, psychologically. It's the place where they know that they are protected by their safety figures, mom and dad. What happens when those safety figures are overwhelmed, angry, frustrated, exhausted? This has a direct impact on your child's psychological and emotional health. Parents, when you are stressed, your children feel that stress and they don't even know what to call it. In families where separation is going on, divorces is going on, illness, diseases, addictions, fights, parents who are severely angry, in those spaces, children start feeling nobody understands them. They take the load of parents. They believe that their parents are fighting and all the struggles are linked to them. Evidence says that children look at parent figures for survival. So when their survival figures are in threat, they feel the severe threat. Each of these impacts their level of intrinsic motivation. Most importantly, they don't have anyone to share with. If this is resonating with you, parents, I want you to just take a pause for a moment. I'm going to share a 7 factorial checklist that I want you to go through with your child. For your sake, we've put this in the description so you can come back to it when you want. As a psychologist working with adolescents for almost a decade, and I've worked with hundreds and thousands of them, what I know that every child, when they start losing their grades, it is due to one or more of these factors. Let's dive in. Does your child feel alone and isolated in friendships? Does your child feel they are not good enough? Are they finding any subjects too difficult to understand? Are they being bullied or being humiliated in school by friends, classmates, or teachers? Are they going through burnout? Severe physical, mental, emotional exhaustion that comes through long term stress? Have they gotten into wrong company of friends, leading to peer pressure and a feeling of, I'm a bad child? Finally, is it the home environment that is making them feel stressed and scared? Maybe someone in the family is going through illness, addiction, or just issues with separation. Parents, humiliation by the teachers is a real thing. Think about Yogi. When the teacher read her answer paper in front of the whole class and everyone was laughing at her, do you really think that she wanted to come back to that lesson? When I compare these checklists to Yogi's life, she at least had five of them for her to completely lose her motivation. From almost being a multi potentialite in her primary school to becoming a no one. And she could never revive her grades. All through her A levels, O levels, she did manage to finish her bachelor's, but as a second class student. I would want each of the parent here listening who's struggling with their child's grade to sit with this. Sit with this checklist, go through it with your child. Try and understand if any of this holds true for your child. When you listen to understand their experience, you build a deep connection and bond with them. Judging them will not make them share, but will make them shut down. Parents, the biggest win in this journey is when we realize why behind the child's behavior. Once you understand what's really going on, your child feels that my mom and dad get me. And we can totally help them revive their grades back up. The idea is for each of us to shift our approach from grades to beyond grades. We are not worried about reviving their grades. We will revive their grades. But when grades is the focus, they lose their connection with self. I am going to share with you these 6 time tested approaches, which has always worked with all my clients when it comes to their children struggling with grades. I have created an acronym which is Beyond Grades. And so let's have a look at them. Let's have a look at each of them. The first one is belief. Parents, children's sense of self, their self worth is anchored into your sense of belief in them. Belief is one of the most important thing. They see it in your eyes, they see it in your vibe. You need to present the conviction and belief in their potential, in their capabilities, especially on days when they are not doing well. E is for emotional presence. We need to spend at least about 10 to 15 minutes with our children every single day without any agenda, no homework checklist, whether they've finished their tasks. We are just going to spend time to know them, to understand them, to talk to them, to share stories, to laugh, to play. Just 10 to 15 minutes each day. When you're fully present with them, they feel emotionally safe, seen, and they actually believe they are worthy. Why? Is your child's individual journey. Parents, I have heard this from all of you that comparison creates inspiration, but that's the biggest myth we follow. Actually, comparison kills personality. When we are comparing our child, we are just telling them that they are not good enough and they have to be someone else. So we cannot compare their grades or their academic journey to their siblings or cousins or anyone. On the contrary, we need to celebrate their tiny progresses. Even a 5 mark increase in the subject that they are struggling with is a progress. Taking them for a tiny drive with maybe an ice cream makes their day. And it creates ripples of emotions in their emotional life saying, I can do this. O is the ownership over academics. Parents, academic accountability is one of the biggest skills we need to teach our children. Learning needs to be a lifestyle habit. We don't learn when exams are near. We don't study when exams are near. So, step 1 for academic accountability is get to know their preferred study style. If there is a reason that your child's grades are dropping, probably they're not understanding the concept. Probably the teacher is a problem. Find different ways to understand what is their preferred style of learning. Probably put YouTube videos, make tiny notes, make flashcards. Suddenly, studying becomes fun. Step 2, study capsule. Imagine that they are sitting in this capsule for about 35 minutes, zero distraction. All they are doing in those 35 minutes is studying on a particular topic. They could write, they could read, they could look at a video and then make notes, but 35 minutes of pure focused attention. After 35 minutes, they take a 10-minute break, which is a no screen break. They can play with their pet, they can go for a walk, they can talk with you. And then they go back in the studies capsule. Doing this for about 2 to 3 capsules a day is phenomenal, because now you're building that muscle that you can study every day with complete focus. In some cases, you may notice that the child is pretty um, hyper and they cannot sit through 35 minutes. That's okay. Let's build it with 10 and 15 minutes. Every child is different. Let's celebrate the differences. Make it easier for them to adapt to learning and studying as a lifestyle. The last one is that they need to make studying a lifestyle choice. That means they need to make their own tiny goals. They need to set intentions on how many days a week they are going to come back to their study place. They need to own complete responsibility of academics. If they don't understand, they can ask for help. They have to come, sit, study, try, practice as hard as it takes and not give up. Academic accountability and ownership of academics is one of the most important skills. Nature and necessary boredom. Parents, our children are feeling stuffled, like stifled and suffocated, sitting in these concrete walls. They've stopped walking barefoot on Mother Earth. When they are in nature, when they get sunlight, it's a direct hit of dopamine, the happy hormone, which creates ripples of motivation in them. Being in nature is a must. If it means just 5 minutes of playing with a pet in your garden or 5 minutes of just walking, that's fine. The more they are in nature, it literally wires and fires their neurons to build healthy neural pathways, which helps them focus, learn, and memorize better. Boredom is a must. We've become so busy performing and perfecting, we've forgotten how to not do anything. Science says that when we are bored, it births creativity. When we are bored, our brain gets a break from the constant doing. I promise you, if your child can get into a habit of 5 minutes of boredom doing completely nothing each day, you'll actually look at a very different person with different behaviors on the other side. Try it. The last one is dialogue and honesty. Parents, especially when children are going through something in the home environment, what they really need is someone to acknowledge this. What they really need is someone to tell them, yes, we are going through this. Yes, mom and dad are going through this. It's a tough time, but trust us and we'll figure it out. Somebody to tell them the story around it. The label that we give, the story that we give to the struggles gives them an anchor to support their emotional life inside of them. It gives them such a sense of relief that before you know it, they are back thriving with their motivation. As we are almost at the end of this podcast, I want to leave you with this. The journey of academics is a marathon, and there are no quick fixes. It's about setting robust foundation around learning as a lifestyle choice, which permeates into carving time to study every single day. But most importantly, it's about accepting failures and rejection as a part of life and learning to rise back up in challenging times. Academics is a journey that teaches about being gritty in the grind, which is one of the most important life skills. Parents, we are not raising children where performance becomes their identity. We are raising human beings who can withstand pressure when life gets difficult and they know how to bounce back. So, what happened to Yogi? I guess she didn't do that well, or maybe she did. In fact, guess what? She did amazing. You've been listening to her all this while. Yes, that's Yogi for you. And perhaps that's the point of today's conversation. A report card can tell you how a child performed. It can never tell you who that child is, or what that child's capability is, or who are they becoming. Namaste and thank you.